Good morning to all the participants. We will begin our webinar in just 2 minutes' time. Before we begin with the webinar, I would like to thank all the participants, presenters, and the resource persons who have agreed to join our webinar for the day. We'll just give us 5 more minutes and we'll begin immediately. Good morning, all of you. I hope I'm audible to all the participants and all the members. Okay. We would like to initiate today's webinar by expressing our gratitude to all the resource persons, to the keynote speakers, and the paper presenters, as well as the participants for the webinar. This webinar has been sponsored by the Indian Council of Social Science Research Eastern Regional Center. The webinar today has been split into two sessions. Session 1 is the inaugural session, and session 2 would be the technical session where we will be having all our paper presentations. To begin with the webinar today, I would like to invite our Vice Principal, Dr. Amitabh Roy, to present the welcome address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ritika. I would like to take the opportunity to welcome our honorable resource persons, our participants, paper presenters, all of them. This seminar is organized with the sponsorship of ICSSR, Eastern Regional Center, Kolkata. We have with us Dr. Dev Kumar Mukherjee, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Kuch Bihar Panchanan Verma University. Our keynote speaker, Dr. Devashree Banerjee, Department of Education, University of Calcutta. And resource persons, Dr. Ayodhya Babu, Dr. Lakshmi Samugam, and Dr. Arnav Baru. We have a galaxy of paper presenters and participants from all over the world. I think that is so after 6 months of lockdown and this experience of COVID-19 situation, we are organizing this seminar on the topic, the shift in teaching learning paradigm post-COVID-19 scenario. We have moved away from seminar to webinar, and we have also seen the gradual change in the field of teaching and learning. I think personally that there should be a hybrid approach in this field, which will both actually combine the offline and online mode. There are some issues which we can address through this digital platform, and there are other issues for which physical presence is necessary. So what is the academia thinking on this issue, and how can we address this situation? We try to understand that through today's seminar. Again, I am thankful to ICSSR ERC and all our resource persons, participants, and paper presenters. I strongly believe they will make this seminar a meaningful one. Over to Ritika.
presenting the inaugural speech. Dr. Mukherjee is an eminent personality and is a very well-known figure. He is not only an able administrator but also a well-read academician. Sir completed his postdoctoral study from Mexico, and he has attended innumerable conferences both in the international platform as well as the national platform. Sir was awarded Bongo Ratna and Shikhar Ratna, both the awards by the government of West Bengal. And sir, today it would be an honor for all of us to hear the inaugural speech from you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ritika. I think I am audible and visible both.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. At the very outset, I express my sincere thanks to Alipurduar Mahila Mahavidyalaya, especially our Vice Principal, Dr. Amitabh Rai, and Dr. Ritika Raskar, who is taking initiative to organize this webinar in a very right moment on a very right topic. And virtually in this pandemic situation, I have attended a number of webinars, and I think this is the first webinar that has been sponsored by the Indian Council of ICSSR of the Eastern Zone. And I also express my sincere thanks to ICSSR for sponsoring this type of webinar in one college located in a remote rural area. And for that, and the topic that has been chosen is a very important topic, as because we have seen that in this pandemic situation, a total shift in our teaching learning method, and we are experiencing something new which we didn't have before the start of this pandemic situation. And what happens now? Virtually, to speak the truth, neither our students nor our teachers were mentally prepared, or our infrastructure were not ready to impart instructions, teachings to our learners, to our students. So we have been put also in some great difficulties uh, in facing this type of challenge, especially in the areas, in area, especially in Alipurduar, Coach Bihar in particular, and in West Bengal in general. And what my experience tells, that the students located in the remote area, rural area, always they are facing some difficulties in getting internet access. So online teaching, what we are now doing in all the colleges, universities, and the teachers also have come forward to give lectures, to give other study materials through online mode, and there are so many platforms. And to speak the truth, today the platform that has been used by Alipurduar Mahila Mahavidyalaya, and Ritika informed me that this is a new platform. To speak the truth, in this platform I am very much new, as because I used to be present in Zoom or in Google Meet, but this WebEx is something new to me. All these stuff, all challenges, and what happens now? It's a very great challenge in this from the point of view that the students and the teachers, what I just mentioned, that both the students or teachers were not prepared, and our infrastructure in the colleges, universities were not made accordingly in order to give teaching, and in order to give instruction, imparting instruction to the teachers. And especially our mental makeup was not like that. And all these things virtually give us a great blow in this pandemic situation. So I think a number of experts are there, and they'll be delivering some good lectures on this topic. And I'm sure from their lectures, all the participants, all the teachers, and all the students who are joining this webinar will be benefited, as because I'm sure, though after the pandemic situation, the total scenario will not be changed. And once one thing is introduced, and that is introduced for all, even for a long time, and whenever normalcy will come, I am sure again we will be using these type of platforms, not wholly but partially, as because we have seen that in some cases it's really beneficial, especially for organizing meetings. For example, in our universities and colleges, when we organize some meetings, we do not get all the participants, all the our members, especially located in some distant area, we do not get them physically in our meetings. But now, in this online platform, we always get our all the members located in different places. So what happens now? We always get their opinion, which we used to not to get their not to get their opinion in physical mode. So I am sure when the pandemic situation will be over, a part of this system will be there, as because always some good things prevail. So I am sure this is new, this is good, but one thing is required. That is, in order to give teaching learning through online mode, special students should be equipped. Poor students located in the rural remote area, they do not have sufficient electronic gadgets to receive this type of teaching, this type of instructions. So it is the duty of the society, it is the duty of the government, it is the duty of all the institutions to look that all the students can get this facility through online mode. And I am sure some paths, some vistas will be there from where we get some new light to be acquainted with this new system. Thank you very much. Thank you. I again express my sincere thanks to Alipurduar Mahavidyalaya, especially Amitabh Ritika, for inviting me here. And it's a very beautiful opportunity to be here again and again. Thank you. Over to Ritika. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sparing time and presenting the inaugural speech today. Now we'll move on to our next speech, which is the keynote lecture by Dr. Debashri Banerjee. Now, Dr. Banerjee is professor at the Department of Education in the University of Calcutta. Ma'am specializes in the field of inclusive education, educational psychology, and teacher education. However, her research interest is not limited only to these three fields. She has also a keen interest in education of children with different ability. Till date, she has supervised 12 PhD scholars and 23 MPhil scholars. She has innumerable publications to her credit and has participated in various national and international conferences. Ma'am, it is an honor to have you with us today, and we are keen to hear your keynote speech. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ritika. A very good morning to all over here, and a special thanks to the Honorable Vice Chancellor, the Principal of the College, for organizing this webinar and asking me to be a part of it. We all are going through the pandemic situation still, though we are in the new normal. And what really baffles me is how human beings are always trying to cope with the new situation in spite of so many obstacles that's coming in our way. And this webinar is really, I believe, going to be useful for all of us to rethink about our future, because we have to think of changing our mode of delivery, our mode of instruction, our mode of learning too. So I really congratulate Ritika for thinking about it and moving ahead with this. And it's always a proud privilege to have a student of mine taking this, the driver's role. Today, I believe there are going to be quite a few papers which are going to be very interesting. But first and foremost thing that I would really like to think of is, why are we discussing it? This pandemic situation has brought in a sudden change in our lifestyle. The lockdown, the closure of not only the schools and colleges, but each and everything around, so many people losing their jobs, and so many people are not yet sure whether they'll be back in their jobs. So naturally, it's not just the education system, it is a total social, political, and economic scenario that is facing the challenge. And education, being a product of all these, is obviously in a dilemma as what it should do, like how it can revert back to the normalcy. And I believe we are not just facing one challenge in front of us. There are numerous challenges. There has been lots of studies already by UNESCO and by the various international organizations where the worst affected have been the students, especially the ones belonging to the primary and secondary level. It's in India and in the countries where midday meal is provided, they have also deteriorated in their physical abilities because most of them who come from the socioeconomically backward areas or socioeconomically backward uh, family background, for them, school was not just a place of learning, but a place which would provide them with some meal, which would help them to uh, cope with their health problems to some extent. So, first and foremost, I believe challenge is how to reach out to these people and to these children and to bring them back to school, to bring them back to our education system. Because now I believe our school, our colleges, and universities will no longer, as our Vice Chancellor was saying right now, it won't be the same physical entity. It is going to be most probably a dual entity where it will have a physical as well as a virtual impact on society. And the first challenge is bringing them back. And at the higher education level, especially from children who are struggling with the family problems, for example, the parents losing job or having half pay, for them, education is nothing but lavishness. Uh, it's it's more of a priority lying at the end of their list. So, if we really want to include them, I believe we have to rethink about our education system. And one of them is already in, that is when we have opened up with these internet services and online courses, which will give some flexibility in their learning. Uh, it is not just the like the method which is going to see an enormous change. I believe there is going to be an enormous change in the teacher student relationship too, because what I miss, and I'm sure most of the students who are used to this the old system, the not the new normal but the old normal system, where the classroom was not just a place of learning but it was also a place of socialization. It was a place where the teacher's personality really impacted the students in various ways. It's not just the knowledge or the content that really mattered. And right now, being virtual, half the time when you cannot see the teacher or the student, I don't know how far that is going to play a role. So the teacher is going to become more of a facilitator of knowledge than a person who is going to be a friend, philosopher, and guide. So again, that becomes a challenge. And maybe we have to rethink about the shift in paradigm so that we can cope with it and make best use of it. So the role of the teacher is going to be very different from the chalk and talk to a teacher who has to be more knowledgeable in technology, a teacher who has to be more acquainted with different ways of motivating the student, even when the student is not in front of you. And even it is very difficult to really understand whether the student is understanding you or whether you have reached the student without seeing their body language, without seeing them right in front of you, without seeing their facial expression. So I believe the teachers are going to feel challenged and are being challenged in this area. So again, maybe our mode has to be a bit different. Maybe every now and then we'll have to assess the students to see whether we have really reached them or not. And the most, I believe, the greatest impact has been not only the socioeconomic divide, but now the digital divide, which is cropping up all the more because of our over dependence on the internet and over dependence on online, not only teaching, but now we are shifting to online evaluation too because of this pandemic situation where physical distance has to be maintained. But hopefully someday the whole of India and the whole of the world will be more connected to each other through the online mode. But I don't know how soon that is going to be the real case, because affordability is again another big question, because when you don't have a job and feeding yourself and the family is the first priority, then having the internet connection becomes a big question mark. It's not just affordability, economic affordability. There are places which don't have the connectivity also. And I believe the role of the government, the responsibility of the government increases out here, where in order to see that this divide is not increasing day by day, to reduce this divide, one has to take steps and make it more economic for the people to avail this opportunity. Other than this, I believe another dimension which is really being affected is our mental health. Lots of cases are coming up where anxiety, disorders due to anxiety, stress, depression are really cropping up too easily, and it's affecting the mental health of the teachers as well as the students. So again, I believe the new normal will have to rethink about how that can be dealt with. And the method of teaching, it is no longer, as I said, it's no longer going to be the chalk and talk method. So digitalization of everything, I don't know how far it's going to be beneficial. Maybe knowledge wise it's going to help, but if we think of the social and psychological dimensions of teaching learning, uh, again the whole scenario may start changing, and our concept of education, our concept of teaching learning will have to change with the new situation. And I'm sure there will be others who are going to discuss on this. And I always believe that change is natural and normal. So we'll have to accept it and see how far we can make best use of it. Though we have to shift the teaching learning paradigm and in the post-COVID era, and think of teaching learning not only as a formal teaching learning method. It's going to be more of a combination of formal, non-formal, and informal methods. So it's going to become a whole where we have to rethink and reschedule our own system totally with the changing socioeconomic and political scenario. And I'm sure that the seminar will be a great success. Many speakers and many paper presenters will be dealing with these in depth and in details. Thank you, and wishing the seminar all the best. Thank you, Ritika.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the keynote lecture. Now I'll introduce our next speaker, who is the first resource person for the evening, Dr. Aniruddha Burman. He, sir, is a associate professor at the University BTN Evening College located in Kuch Bihar. Sir is a teacher trainer and specializes in English language teaching. He is also a resource person for Pearson. Sir has conducted numerous workshops for teachers in various schools, and I'm sure this pandemic situation, in this pandemic situation, sir will be able to enlighten us about how to deal with the challenges and the problems. So over to you, sir.
Good morning, Ritika. In the first place, I'd like to thank Alipurduar Mahila Mahavidyalaya for giving me this opportunity to talk in such a platform. Special thanks to the principal, Dr. Amitabh Roy, and the convener, Dr. Ritvika Laskar, for giving me this opportunity. Uh, Please let me know if I overshoot my time. I'll try and see if I can remain within my time limit. And thank you all the participants, who are there, for giving me a patient hearing till the last.
Please continue, Dr. Varman, no problem.
Yeah. The COVID-19 challenge. The global pandemic has taken a massive hit on all sectors of the economy. While it has been slightly easier for the multinational companies and professionals to adopt work from home as the new normal and continue business as usual, the times have been challenging for education system all around the world, with disruptions everywhere. Several concerned scholars, citizens, politicians, and bureaucrats support the need for reimagining and reinventing. I'm uh, using this word, reinventing the education system. Hence comes the smart classrooms. Of course, the smart classrooms were there earlier in a kind of way, but then again, like, we have to rethink the whole thing once again. The nationwide closure impacting over 91% of the world's student population, or maybe even more than that. Several other countries have implemented localized closures impacting millions of additional learners. UNESCO is supporting countries in their efforts to mitigate the immediate impact of school closures, particularly for vulnerable and disadvantaged communities, and to facilitate the continuity of education for all through remote learning. The UNESCO report estimates that the coronavirus epidemic will adversely impact over 290 million students across 22 countries. The UNESCO estimates about 32 crores of students are affected in India. I believe it's much more than that, in fact, both in schools, colleges, and universities. Now, this adoption of the smart classroom in the new normal, by schools in transforming the traditional education system, the sudden switch is not only limited to private schools, but even a number of government schools have started running smart classes. The COVID-19 pandemic has affected education systems worldwide, leading to near total closures of even universities and colleges apart from the schools. A large number of Indian students, second only to China, enroll in universities abroad, especially in countries worst affected by the pandemic, the US, UK, China, and many other places. Many such students have now been barred from leaving these countries. If the situation persists in the long run, a decline in the demand for international higher education is expected. Needless to say, the pandemic has transformed the century old chalk talk teaching model to a one driven by technology. This disruption in the delivery of education is pushing policymakers to figure out how to drive engagement at scale while ensuring inclusive e-learning solutions and tackling the digital divide. Let's look at the merits and demerits of this pandemic. Though the crisis is devastating, it is making our schools and even colleges technologically advanced. No doubt, students and teachers have had to make bigger adjustments as learning has always been in classrooms. Moreover, many of them are not well equipped with technology tools to avail of remote learning. Now, there is a shift of focus which we were talking of, as I have designed it as a paradigm shift. Now, we have already observed, even much before this COVID-19 situation, that there's a shift of focus from teaching to learning. We cannot teach unless the student learns. There's a saying in English, you can take the horse to the pond, but the horse may not drink. So the learning is important. So it's no longer teacher-centric now, it's learner-centric. Education is no longer defined in terms of what a teacher will teach, but rather in terms of what a student will be able to demonstrate. We're talking of performance, not even competence, which Chomsky had told us earlier. To learn is to change. Education is a process that changes the learner, according to George Leonard. We've moved from an instruction paradigm in which an instructor transfers knowledge to students to a learning paradigm in which a teacher's role is that of a coach. The result is a student learning how to learn and discovering knowledge with the coaching guidance of a teacher. Now, even in the classrooms, what we had started much long back is in group activities. The groups, they sit together, they learn from each other, from the peers, and there are brainstorming sessions which we had never allowed them earlier because the focus was teaching earlier, not on learning. So a teacher is kind of a friend, philosopher, and guide. Now then, see, there's already a shift. We've seen the face-to-face mode or the traditional mode, where the students still sit in the classroom and the teacher speaks or teaches. Then we have the correspondence mode. Then there was a change when it came to the distance mode. And then we started having the ODL or the open distance learning mode. Even in this ODL mode, I see a reflection in our new education policy too. Then we have the blended learning when we use the multimedia. We could integrate all other methodologies. That is extremely important. Because once we are very sure of this blended learning, we'll be able to appreciate more the situation we are in and how to use this blended learning concept in our new normal situation. In this post-COVID era, we started using a term social distancing. Well, it's in reality physical distancing. It's not really social distancing, but somehow a kind of social distancing is also happening in certain places. Now, because of this physical distancing, we have this online classes and even the online examinations. So our concepts are changing, our methods are changing, the pedagogy is changing. So we need a multi-pronged strategy. One is immediate measures are essential to ensure continuity of learning in government schools and universities. Open source digital learning solutions and learning management software should be adopted so that teachers can conduct teaching online. The Diksha platform, which I'll be talking about a little later, will reach across all states of India and can be further strengthened to ensure accessibility of learning to the students. Number two is inclusive learning solutions, especially for most vulnerable and marginalized. We have a huge problem with the children with special needs. It's a huge problem. So with a rapid increase in mobile internet users in India, which is expected to reach about 85% of households by 2024, this can change the schooling system and increase the effectiveness of learning and teaching, giving students and teachers multiple options to choose from. Many aspirational districts have initiated innovative mobile learning based models for effective delivery of education, which can be adopted by others. Three, strategies are required to prepare higher education, higher education sector for evolving demand supply trends across the globe, particularly those related to the global mobility of students and faculty and improving the quality of and demand for higher studies in India. Further, immediate measures are required to mitigate the effects of the pandemic on job offers, internship programs, and research projects. Fourth, it is important to consider the current delivery and pedagogical methods in school and higher education by seamlessly integrating classroom learning with e-learning models to build unified learning systems. The major challenge in EdTech reforms at the national level is the seamless integration of technology in the present Indian education system, which is the most diverse and the largest in the world. Furthermore, it is also important to establish quality assurance mechanisms and quality benchmark for online learning developed and offered by India higher education institutions as well as e-learning platforms which are growing very rapidly. And fifth, Indian traditional knowledge may also be integrated to the present day mainstream university education. In this time of crisis, a well-rounded and effective educational practice is what is needed for the capacity building of young minds. It will develop skills that will drive their employability, productivity, health, and well-being of the decades in the decades to come and ensure overall progress. Uh, Ritika, can I present my slide a bit?
Sure, sir. Please go ahead.
I'll just give it a try.
So there'll be an option to
Yeah,
present your screen. You can share
yeah,
your screen and you can present it,
yeah.
sir. Yeah. Yes.
Is it? Can you see this?
Yes, sir, it's visible. Yes, it's visible, sir.
Yeah. So, see, even the UNESCO has provided a lot of resources. There's an interagency standing committee guidelines to protect, improve people's mental health and the psychosocial well-being in the midst of the emergency. World Health Organization mental health and psychosocial guidance. UNICEF guidance on how teachers should talk to children about COVID-19. UNICEF guidance on how parents and caregivers can talk to children about COVID-19. They've suggested quite a lot of learning management systems. I'm not going through all this, it will take a lot of time. I can see this, the Century Talk, Class Dojo, Edmondo, etc. Google Classroom, which we are very familiar these days. There are systems built for use of basic mobile phones. This is now very, this is not from UNESCO though. The radio is playing a huge role at the moment. Even earlier, I'd seen earlier in my first part of my teaching career, or even when we were the university, we've seen how radio is to be used for as an aid for the classroom. Then we have community radio, At the moment, we have got even our Kuch Bihar Panchan Burma University. They've got a radio program for the whole day. It's PBU Radio. It's an app, mobile app. Even Indira Gandhi National Open University has also a mobile, also a radio app. The television can be used, which is being used also very effectively. Then we talk of the social media programs in YouTube Live, because we are given to lot of browsing the net, and YouTube gives us a wonderful scope. It can be YouTube Live, or even in YouTube you can post your classrooms. I've got some roughly 150 of my classes are already in the YouTube. So you become a teacher for the whole universe. The students are all over the world. They can watch, they can comment, you can give feedback. Facebook Live is a very popular thing. I've done it myself a number of times. Sorry. And a lot of people also are doing this. Then another is Swayam Prabha. It's a group of 32 direct to home channels aimed at secondary, high secondary, UG, and PG levels. And presently, some 12 channels are promoting learning for classes 1 to 12. This is a central government MHRD project. MOOCs, massive open online course platforms. I'll just touch on a few. Udemy. In Udemy, you find a lot of IT-based programs. You get a lot of programming and learn Photoshop and so many other things. Unacademy, you'll get a lot of courses for your examination preparation and other things. Swayam is very important for us. Swayam is a app. You can use it in both in mobile as well as in laptop or desktop, whatever you have. It's a MHRD program. There are number of courses. Now that because you should be ready for any occasion, because we don't see too many jobs around, and the traditional education system may not help at times. So if you are prepared for even other jobs, Swayam is one very good medium. Courses are totally free, whereas in Udemy, Unacademy, you have to pay for the courses. Swayam is totally free. At the leisure of your home, you can learn, you can take these courses. Only you have to pay a small amount for the certificate, if you care for the certificate. And we have got the openculture.com, we have got the UK Open University. So lots of things you can learn from here. Then there's a National Repository of Open Educational Resources, started in 2013 by MHRD and developed by NCERT. There are open resources for classes 1 to 12. Audio, video, document, interactive contents are available. National Initiative for School Heads and Teachers, Holistic Advancement is an effective program to train heads of schools, resource persons, and teachers at the elementary school level. Is a capacity building program. We've got TESS India, Teacher Education for School-Based Support. You go to this site, you'll get written audio, video materials for students of classes 1 to 8. It's given in different languages. I've been a part of the program too. We had translated a few things in Bengali. So some 8 states have already started this. Maybe this is increasing every day. Very useful materials out there you can get. There are a lot of mobile reading applications. I'm just skipping this. Now, Kindle. Amazon has a Kindle. It's a kind of a device, looks like almost like a tab. You can use it at your leisure. You can download books, around some 3,000 to 4,000 books you can download there. You can read, you can get the pleasure of reading just like you, as if you're reading a book, the way you turn your pages. You can also download it onto your laptop or even your mobile phone. So when the taste of reading is same, you can increase the size of fonts, decrease the size of fonts. You can get the meanings. You can go to the Wikipedia directly from there if it's connected to the net. If you need a book now, straight away you can download if that book is available. There's no problem with the light. If the light is dim, it will adjust itself. So it's totally yours. It's just like a book, much better than a book. Then we already have the e-books. These have come in very handy these days, which we can use for the students of school, college, or university, wherever. Some more platforms I personally used WhatsApp. WhatsApp is also a very good tool. Zoom is a very good tool. Cisco is very close to that. Zoom has some more options like you can give them the breakout rooms where students can be there in groups and have meetings. You can give online questions. You can give online quiz. Straight away, you can give the graphics also. You can also show like how many students answered which question. So the graphs also will be there. Cisco WebEx is a very good platform. Only thing is Cisco WebEx, unless you buy it, you won't be able to record. And from Zoom, you can straight away stream to YouTube and Facebook, and you can do the recording even if you don't buy. Google Meet is quite good, quite good. The if you buy, you can get the recording, but you cannot stream directly unless you have got a streaming software separately. Google Classroom, Team Link. I found sharing little problem with Team Link. TCS has come out with a Glassroom and quite a few other things like GoToMeet and others. Quite a few platforms are available these days. Uh, there are quite a lot of other repositories. These repositories, e-Pathshala, EG Pathshala, you got a lot of resources. You can download a lot of resources. Even from e-Shodh e-Shodh Shuddhi. The National Digital Library is now open. You can download anything you want. Even the West Bengal Secretariat Library, West Bengal Public Library Network, these are all open. Vishwabharati Library Network is available for us with any kind of help you need. If you think your PhD thesis, whether it is plagiarized or not, it has to be certified. It will be certified, and for that you have to go to your library where they will certify this. Then we have this Romeo Sherpa, which is an online resource that aggregates the presence, publisher, and journal open access policies around the world. Tagore Web. You get a lot of whatever you want, whatever writings you want by Tagore, you can get in the Tagore Web. All his poems and songs and novels and stories or whatever writings. Gandhi Sevagram Ashram. You get a lot of information about Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi. Spoken tutorial is an audio video tutorial that explains an activity. performed on your computer. An expert explains the working of software by demonstrating. Then we've got free open source software for education, National Knowledge Network, National Project for Technology and Advanced, Enhanced Learning, National Academic Depository, Shagun. School Education Shagun is an overreaching initiative to improve the school education system. The initiative involves creating a junction in the form of platform for all portals and websites of the departments of school education in Government of India, all states and union territories. National Repository of Open Resource, Educational Resource. This Diksha, I was talking of Diksha earlier. It's a unique initiative which leverages existing highly scalable and flexible digital infrastructures while keeping teachers at the center. It's built considering the whole teacher's life cycle from the time teachers enroll in teacher education institutes to after they retire as teachers. In India, many teachers are creating and using innovative tech-based solutions in the classrooms. State governments and private bodies can integrate Diksha into their respective teacher initiatives to create in-class resources, teacher training content, assessment aids, teacher profile, news and announcement, teacher community. These features have emerged for consultations with multiple state governments, NGOs, and more than 30 public and private institutions. Now, NEME ICT is providing connectivity. We got it years back in your college, National Mission on Education for ICT. They had given us 10 portals, 10 channels, and we were supposed to have got 10 more and a mobile tower. So they give connectivity to universities, institutions, colleges, etc. And again, under this, we have got this enlist. A lot of colleges and universities are registered with enlist, with National Library and Information Services Infrastructure. It is also under this NEME project, which is given to colleges under 12B, which is covered under 12B of UGC. Then we have got this consortiums. If you are going for research, like Urkund, already you have to get a certification from Urkund for your PhD. Earlier, that was not required. A certificate from the supervisor was enough. For this, again, you have to go to different places. I have had a talk with the Vishwabharat Library. Anyone can go and approach them. You'll get a certificate from them, from Urkund. So that there is also another consortium, Grammarly. But Grammarly, unless you buy it, you won't be able to do it much. You will only get the grammar solutions. So it's important that you have a certification from Urkund. Now we have got consortium like ProQuest. I came in contact with this long back when in Hyderabad, when I had gone to ASRC. Then I've seen it is there in a lot of universities. In ProQuest, you can get the abstracts of different by different writers all over the world on your area of work. You can get the bibliography. You can get one chapter done in that library itself, that chapter on related review of related literature. Gestor, you can get access to Gestor. You get a lot of journals which you can download. Now that the job orientation has changed. Earlier we used to think of certain kind of different kinds of jobs, and it's very difficult now to get those jobs. Already there is a cut. A lot of people are losing jobs. No new jobs are coming up. So we have to look for other opportunities. That is extremely important. So that if we already have them in the school curriculum or in the college curriculum, basically these IT-based jobs these days are more popular, and the new education policy has given us scope to learn almost anything. So there is no bar, which we had seen earlier in the open learning system. So you could take all different courses and be prepared for the next generation. All these enhance our ability to connect easily with institutions and enhance our access to learning resources. For instance, National Knowledge Network provides high-speed network backbone for educational institutions in India. The online assessment agencies, private business houses are also improving the product. Considering the limited bandwidth and physical distancing by managing remotely proctored examinations, skilling assessments, basic requirements like sturdy education delivery systems, platforms, IT infrastructure, personal computers, desktop, mobile, for end delivery and assessment tools have been planned and more improvement is underway. For countries like India, there's a good opportunity to strengthen the internet connectivity across rural India. Every village and town in India should be digitally connected for better interaction between the students and teachers. Institutes like IITs have a sort of infrastructure to connect students, but the experience shows that not only students have good interaction due to, not all students have good interaction due to various reasons. According to Dr. Francisco Marmolejo, advisor to Qatar Foundation India, during his webinar held by the Geo International Institute India, higher education should be redesigned. It should be flexible, more innovative, more international, but more locally connected and socially responsible for collaborative and less risk averse. Innovative models should be introduced. Universities, institutes could be online, providing internet based flexible offerings. Traditional offering with hand on work, collaboration with other schools. We've been talking about virtual classrooms and various online tools today. Allow us to make engagement with the teacher and students as close to real in classroom type experience as possible. Going forward, these tools can also make the teachers and parent meetings as well as staff management meetings time and cost saving while providing necessary interactivity. Even our examinations, we can give the results in just one day, straight away after the exam, instead of waiting so many months together. It's up to the government to take initiatives to provide free internet services to the remotest corners of the country and provide handsets to every child. I recall one of the seminars in Sitalkuchi College where the principal of Alipurduar Mahila Mahavidyalaya had once talked of the OLPC project. Now, this OLPC project, one laptop per child, which was supposed to be given at $100 per laptop by a non-profit organization founded by MIT professor Nicholas Negroponte in 2005. One laptop per child was a classic example of a device designed to help the third world. It had very limited success. In India, people thought we could make laptops at much lower cost, which actually proved otherwise. We can think of developing these if the government wills. One may recall of BBC micros that were brought by the Indian government in the 1980s was also a failure too. But presently, the midday meal project is basically stopped. This money can easily be used to improve internet connectivity and give learners access to mobile handsets. I'm sorry. Pedagogy in digital education is an important link between course content, educationists, technology, and course takers. Democratization of technology is now an important issue comprising internet connectivity, telecom infrastructure, affordability of online system, availability of laptop, desktop, software, educational tools, online assessment tools, etc. But it's a fact that technology-based education is more transparent and does not make difference in front and backbenchers or girls or boys. So we don't have any more front or backbenchers or girls or boys anymore. With just the learners. COVID-19 has prompted experts to rethink the conventional mode of education. Digital education appears to be a visible solution, viable solution to fill in the void for classroom education. A complete revolution in the way we learn today has brought about by technology. Each student gets in contact with a world-class education, which is not easy to impart by traditional white chalk and blackboard method of teaching. Multi-pronged strategy is necessary to manage the crisis and build a resilient Indian education system in the long term. It is an ideal time to accept technology and its latest offerings in order to make education delivery to students more efficient and make it more productive through online learning assessments, said Kiran Dham, CEO, Globus Infocom. Going forward, the use of technology in teaching or recruitment will lead to a new era wherein the best of faculty will be available from across the globe to students. Education quality will be gauged not just by quality of faculty, but we'll also have quality of IT infrastructure and familiarization of faculty with digital teaching technologies as important parameters. The physical infrastructure of academic institutions will have less impact on the quality of education and thus directly on the cost of education. Review meetings, I've already talked of. The real vision of the new education policy for liberal education will get executed. It's possible that in times to come, a student may be allowed to carry out courses from any college or university based on quality of teacher and fees for the course, irrespective of its location, and finally will get a degree from the whole university where he or she got registered, or from the university where he has taken maximum courses, resulting in a balance of economics of good education. For all this to be a reality, a drastic change in thought process is required in the mindset of policymakers, authorities, students, and especially educationists. Faculty selection should gradually be linked to technology friendliness and keenness for technology adoption. Similarly, accreditation parameters criteria need reconsideration. All these steps will strengthen the country's digital learning infrastructure in the long run. COVID-19 has accelerated the adoption of technologies to the delivery system. The impact of COVID-19 will remain for years, if not longer. The new normal will be that significantly larger number of students will attend classes from home. Well, this trend has already on the uptick. It will receive a massive impetus because COVID-19 situation. The great thing is that India is well prepared to teach lakhs of students at home. The country has one of the world's most extensive 4G networks on the planet. In virtually every part of the country, there is 4G connectivity. Even more impressive is the fact that data is more affordable. Over such robust network, classes can be streamed with ease. Students who learn in virtual classrooms will find that their learning experience is as good as or maybe even better than students who sit in classes. A hugely transformative power. The virtual classrooms is the ability to bring an endless number of courses to students' doorsteps. A student living in the interior of the country can master a course on artificial intelligence or big data without paying a considerable fee. Indeed, over the next few years, the number of students who get education online will grow considerably, said Intellipat founder and CEO Diwakar Chittora. And to conclude, I'd like to say that this is a wonderful situation to learn lots of things. By sitting at home, you can learn so many things. Earlier, that possibility was little less. I have myself seen during the last 5-6 months, I've been able to learn so much, lot of things which I never dreamt of. I'm able to do all that. So for the young children, it's much easier. I would prefer you talk of STEM education. If you are sure of the STEM education. STEM education started in USA during Barack Obama's time, when he found out that the Americans were less prepared, American students were less prepared than the students who from abroad. So he started integrating science, technology, engineering, and music. These four things together to make life more meaningful. See, for music, you need technology, you need engineering, and you can also analyze music with the help of science. Now we call STEAM education: science, technology, engineering, art, and music. It has come to India a few years back, and it's been doing quite well. So if children are more interested in robotics, sadly, there was a project by the central government, the Autol Labs. It was given to one school per state, but I don't know how many schools had applied from this region. So that would have been a wonderful opportunity for people to learn robotics, artificial intelligence, all this Python programming, and all these things. Coding is a very important aspect at the moment. Schools have started teaching coding. So a lot of things, lot of possibilities are there at the moment. So these children will be able to later on make apps. You can make apps with the help of MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. So you can make apps if you learn, if you know a bit of these programmings. So a lot of things can be done at this moment. So let us use this scope, let us use this opportunity to learn more and to help our students to learn more. I had just missed one point earlier. One of the platforms is Moodles. I have not worked on it, so I'm not very sure. People say it's a very important platform. We can really use it very well for our classrooms. With this, I'd like to conclude my talk. I don't know whether I have overshot or taken less time. Thank you once again for all those who have been listening to me very patiently. Thanks to Alipurduar Mahila Mahavidyalaya, especially to Dr. Amitav Roy and Dr. Rituka Oscar for having invited me for this project. Thank you all once again, and wish the webinar a wonderful, wonderful opportunity, a great success.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your insightful lecture. Right now, actually, we as teachers, even we are facing the same problem. We are facing the same struggle with online classes. And I'm sure the way you explained the various opportunities that are available to take classes online or to digitize the entire process, I'm sure this is going to help all of us. So thank you, sir. Thank you so much for sparing this time and giving us this insightful lecture. Before we begin, thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Before we begin with our next lecture, I would just want to remind all the participants that the second session will begin from 2:30. We'll be sharing the link for the second session in the group as usual, and that session will include all the paper presentations. Now we have with us our second resource person for the morning, Dr. P. N. Lakshmi Shanmugam. Dr. Shanmugam is an assistant professor in the Department of Educational Psychology, Tamil Nadu, Teachers Education University. She completed her MSc and MPhil in chemistry, MCA, MEd, MPhil, and PhD in education from Madurai Kamraj University. She has 15 years of teaching experience and has supervised and has completed supervision of 3 doctoral students and 12 MPhil students. Other than that, there are still 7 more students who are pursuing their PhD under her supervision. She has to her credit 30 research articles in national and international journals and 7 books. She is a member of the Global Educational Research Council for Teacher Education Tamil Nadu and All India Association for Educational Research and Indian Society for Education and Allied Sciences. Ma'am, it's an honor to have you here with us, and I'm sure you are going to enlighten us with your lecture on the webinar that we are having today. Ma'am, please go ahead.
Good morning to you all. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor N. Panjanadam, the most respected Registrar in Charge, Professor V. Balakrishnan, the most respected Controller of Examinations, Dean of Faculty, Professor M. Govindan, for their encouragement and continuous support. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the convener, Dr. Ritvika Laskar, Alipurduar Mahila Mahavidyalaya for conducting this national webinar on the shift in teaching learning paradigm post COVID-19 scenario. I'm going to discuss about the transition to digital pedagogy. Ritvika ma'am, shall I share my PPT?
Yes, ma'am, please go ahead. There's a share button there. You can present your PPT through that share button.
Can you see my presentation slides?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Transition to digital pedagogy. Learning is very, very important one. Learning is the process of assimilating information with a resultant change in behavior. Yeah, for reaching this learning, teaching is an active process in which one person shares information with others to provide them with the information to make behavioral changes. For this, teaching learning process is a very, very important one. Yeah, teaching learning process is a planned interaction that promotes behavioral change. For creating this behavioral change, learning environment is a very, very important one. Learning environment plays a major role in creating this behavioral changes inside the learners. For learning to take place, participation of learner is essential. The learner would not participate freely unless he feels interest. The learner must be given the stimulating environment. The students are encouraged to try and more likely to learn. So we have to shift from Gurukulam to this digital pedagogy. Gurukulam was a type of school in ancient education system. It existed since the Vedic age. The main objectives for this Gurukul system are self-control, character development, social awareness, personality development, intellectual development. So learning is an enduring change in behavior which results from practice or other forms of experience. So we have to create the learning environment for all the learners. For this, a classroom no longer consists of four walls with a blackboard and a lecturer in front talking to students instead of interacting with them. These are the classrooms. From Gurukul system, the system, education system and teaching learning process is changed to this online forum, that is digital pedagogy. Yeah, Gurukulam learning, it is nothing but a type of school in ancient education. Here, all the students resided in Guru's place and learn. Yeah, first classroom consists of four walls. So teacher delivers a lecture by using blackboard, chalk, and then whiteboard marker, and then transparency slides with overhead projector, then by using PowerPoint presentation, then by using CA package, computer assisted instruction, web-based learning teaching tool, now video conference, and then e-classroom, wireless technology, innovative technology, are all the tools allow teachers to present information in ways that prompt discussion and collaborations. A learning is an enduring change in behavior. That is a change in behavior. For bringing this change in behavior, according to learning theory, behaviorism, cognitivism, constructivism, and connectivism are very, very important one. The future is not something we enter. The future is something we create. Creation, creativity is very, very important one. According to Bloom's taxonomy, it is the final one. In creating this learning environment, technology plays a major role. Technology in the hands of great teachers is transformational. Our world is changing, and in order to prepare our children or our students for this new world, we need to change the way we educate them. Teachers are actively searching for ways to prepare students for the future, and the educational system has been evolving faster than ever before. Yeah, that is the pedagogy. Pedagogy is the method or practice of teaching, especially as an academic subject or theoretical concept. It is the planned activities and tasks that are undertaken by the teacher and learners to bring about the intended instructional objectives. So cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains can be achieved by using this pedagogy. Cognitive means knowledge-based, affective means interest-based, that is heart-based. Psychomotor domains mean physical activities like skills. Pedagogy is the place where philosophy and practice meet. Pedagogy is itself a discipline with a long history and its own literature, a space where student and teacher, author and editor, reader and scholar learn from each other. For bringing this pedagogy, we have to include cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. Cognitive, brain-based, they're heart-based, they're skill-based, that is activity-based thing. We have to include all these three things in bringing the learner behavior. For this, we have to consider behaviorism, cognitivism, constructivism, and connectivism. These are the four important components based on the learning theories in psychology. What do you mean by behaviorism? Behaviorism equates the learning with changes in either the form of observable performance, that is, learn by doing imitation, learn by observing the things. Here, the learner is characterized as being reactive to conditions in the environmental as opposed to taking an active role in discovering the environment. The instruction is structured around the presentation of the target stimulus and the provision of opportunities for the learners to practice making the proper response. First one, we have to consider behaviorism according to this learning theory. Then we have to give importance to the cognitivism. It is a structured and computational one. Existing schema, that is cognitive theories, focus on the conceptualization of student learning processes and address the issues of how information is received, organized, and stored and retrieved from the mind. Learning is concerned not so much what the learners do, but with what they know and how they come to acquire it. That is the cognitivism. Cognitive theories emphasize making knowledge meaningful, not a rote memory, knowledge meaningful, and helping the learners organize and relate new information to existing knowledge in memory. So we have to make this pedagogy based on a student's existing mental structures to be effective. It should organize information in such a manner that learners are able to connect new information with the existing knowledge in some meaningful way. Okay, for building the pedagogy, for creating the method of teaching, we have to consider this cognitivism. This is a second type of learning theory. Third one, constructivism. Transferring from behaviorism, then cognitivism and constructivism, now connectivism. That is a digital pedagogy. Transition to digital pedagogy. We have to consider all these four things. Coming to the constructivism, social meaning created by each learner. Constructivism equates the learning with creating meaning from experience. Constructivists believe that the mind filters input from the world to produce its own unique results. That is the individuality of the learners. We have to consider the individuality and individual talent of the learners. By considering this individual talent, we have to make our pedagogy. The role of instruction in the constructivism view to show the students how to construct knowledge, to promote collaboration with others, to show multiple perspectives that can be brought to bear on a particular problem, and solving the problem, and to arrive at self-chosen positions to which they can commit themselves. So we make the learners to solve the problem. We make the learners to construct their own creativity. Okay, then connectivism. Connectivism in which knowledge exists outside of the learner, and the learner makes connection between information to build the knowledge. Connect with the peer group, connect with the teacher educator, connect with the mentor, connect with the media, and connect with the learning content. The connections that learners make help them create their own learning network. That is a digital pedagogy. The connections that learners make connection between the verb, learners will be able to stay up to date with the content as it changes. Main thing, learners, the content is very, very important one. Here, teacher plays a major role for creating this pedagogy, for creating this classroom learning environment. So, based on the learning theory, this digital pedagogy includes behaviorism, cognitivism, constructivism, and the special thing is connectivism. Okay. Here, teachers will be able to prepare the learning materials using images, audio, video, and animation. And helps every student learn at their own pace, place, and guide, help, own pace and place. It is suitable for slow learners as well as the speed learners. That is the digital pedagogy provides. By using this LMS, Learning Management System, by using this LMS, Moodle, on any classroom, Google Classroom, online classroom, the teacher educators, we the teachers will be able to prepare the learning material by including all the sensors, images, audio, video, and animation. It helps to remember all the concepts. It helps to behave and includes the cognitive aspects and constructs and then interactions with the content, interaction with the peer group, and interaction with the teachers or any mentors. Okay. With the online assessments also, teachers have to create in digital pedagogy. Online assessments. The chance to adopt learning patterns for each student will close the learning gaps. Suppose if the learners are not able to follow the content, we have to give the chance to repeat the things in online classrooms, in online mode as well as offline mode. They noted the personalized, appropriate, and contextualized learning environment. It will be tailored based on the learner's own passion, strengths, needs, and family. The opportunity to customize learning sequences for each student will make education more productive. So, digital learning extends the learning opportunities nowadays. Why use technology in digital pedagogy? Due to this interactivity, content delivery system, managing learning resources, collaboration, communication, sense of cohort, variety of teaching and learning preferences, formative and summative assessments. We use technology. Yeah. Here, the SWAYAM is initiated by the Government of India to achieve the three cardinal principles of education policy: access, equity, and quality. To provide best learning resources to all, including the most advantaged, and seeks to bridge the digital divide. By using MOOCs platform, they are offering many courses by Government of India. National coordinators for this SWAYAM: UGC, NPTEL, CEC, IGNOU, NCRT, NIAS, IIMB, IITTR, AICTE. They offer many free courses by using this national coordinators. Here, Coursera, Udacity, and MOOCs SWAYAM, edX, all offers free educational courses, both the PG to all the learners. So the previous generation, book reading, but now viewing, displaying, creativity. And in previous one, fluid pace, but now is non-linear pace. Previous one, linear approach, but nowadays in digital pedagogy, hypermedia takes place. Independent learning, previous one, but now connectivity plays an important role in digital pedagogy. And in the previous one, school is the requirement, but now the platform, online platform is the required thing. A previous one, technology external. By using a technology, we have to deliver our teachers has to deliver the lecture by using the technology, but now the technology internal one. Knowing the facts happen in previous learning, but knowing how to find the factors happen now in digital pedagogy. In digital pedagogy, we have to pull the learners and create from relevance, allow for variation. Okay, build a learning community. Yeah, teachers here in digital pedagogy, teachers or the designers. In the digital pedagogy, teachers plays a major role. And teachers' role is greater than the traditional role. They prepare e-content in the form of text mode, audio, or video form. All are familiar with this e-content module also. E-content module is available in all the libraries. National Digital Library of India is a virtual repository of learning resources, which is sponsored and mentored by Ministry of Education, Government of India. Teacher prepare grade books for monitoring attendance and assignments, results, as well as keeping other information for each student. So in digital pedagogy, the teacher's role plays a very, very important one. Teacher provides opportunities for class projects, discussion boards, and a built-in web conferencing tool to the students. It provides unlimited access to the learning content anywhere and any time. For creating this digital pedagogy, so many platforms, free softwares are available in our internet. For including this text, we have to create PowerPoint presentation. All are familiar with this PowerPoint presentation. Then for recording your audio, for giving your voice, we have to use Audacity, and so many softwares are available in online forum. Then we have to merge this text material, images, audio, and some videos. We want to include some videos, mean so many softwares are available for merging all these things. PowerPoint slides, converting this text material into video. We have to record. The screen recorder option is available. The screencaster, by using the screencast-o-matic screen recorder, we have to convert this PowerPoint slide into this video by including your audio also. Screencast-o-matic screen recorder. Then we have to include the video. We have to combine the video in addition to this text, audio, and images by using VSDZ player. It is also for free, one of the free software available in internet. By downloading this VSDZ player, we combine any video available in online. We combine this for creating the interest to the students. Based on the affective domain, we have to give the pedagogy. Based on the affective domain, the main thing is affective domain. Based on the affective domain, we have to give the learning platform. We have to make the learning platform to the learners. So in this digital pedagogy, the teacher's role is very, very important one for making this learning process. We have to bring the change in behavior among the learners by considering the behaviorism, cognitivism, constructivism, and connectivism. Teachers will be able to prepare the learning materials using all these things. Plan future studies also. Peer pressure will encourage students to attain their goals. With online assessments, teacher can develop a strategy based on the students' needs. The chance to adapt the learning patterns for each student based on their pace, whether they may be slow learner or they may be speed learner. They noted that personalized, appropriate, and contextualized learning can increasingly be tailored based on the learner's own passion, strengths, need. So before the thing, teacher-centric learning will teacher-centric learning happen. Here, lecturer on the stage, students takes notes. That passive learning happens. Every student gave the same learning experience, and in this previous learning, every student goes through the same learning activities. The student-centric approach. Here, collaborative learning. Example, flipped classroom learning, blended learning, and personalized learning through the Google Classroom or Moodle Classroom or through any LMS platform. We have to create this student-centric learning. Yeah. I would like to express my sincere thanks to the convener for giving this opportunity. Is there any doubt? Please clarify your doubts. Do you have any doubt?
Yes, ma'am, I'll just ask. This is for all the participants who are here at the moment on this platform. If you have any queries or if you want to ask anything, please feel free. Ma'am is here to clarify all doubts or any questions, feedback that you want to provide to her, all the participants. Ma'am, I believe there are no questions as
Yes.
such.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you for giving us. Thank you again for letting us know about all the options and the possibilities that we can implement, that we can use in this online platform. All the possibilities that we have in our transition to digital pedagogy. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ritika, can I add just one point at this?
Sure, ma'am. Sure, sir. Sure.
Um, See, we feel challenged because of this new system we are being forced to adopt. But I've seen one example in one news channel, a place called Shuri in West Bengal. I found one primary school teachers. They were trying to teach with the help of the public address system. When no applications were available, no mobile phones were available in a government primary school, they were using the public address system. They were using the microphone to teach the students. So, like, we can think of just about anything, just about anything. People keep on saying, yeah, we don't have a mobile phone, we don't have an Android mobile, we don't have internet connectivity. Such wonderful occasions are there where people are really innovative. They've tried lots of issues, lots of means to teach. We should be open-minded with this instead of uh, having a gap in our mind, in a kind of a block in our mind to not use this. Thank you. Thank you for giving me one more chance.
Thank you, sir. It is one question from Mr. Anjan Dasgupta. They want to know whether these PPTs can be shared. Ma'am, will it be possible for you to share the
Yes, ma'am.
PPT?
Yes, sure, ma'am. Sure.
Okay, ma'am. Then you can just mail us the PPT and
Yes.
I'll share it in our respective groups.
Sure.
Is there any other question or anything that that the participants want to say? All right. I would also like to inform all the participants that the webinar today is being streamed live on our YouTube platform. So people can also watch this webinar through YouTube. So now we have with us our our third resource person for the day, Dr. Orno Ball, who is an sir, who is an associate professor at Shujashin Mahavidyalaya, Chiliguri. My colleague Shutapa Dash will be introducing Sir for his speech. Shutapadi, over to you. So please give us a minute. I'll just check and confirm. Thank you for being patient. Just give us 2 more minutes. There's a little bit of network issue. We are just addressing it. Thank you for being patient. Yeah. So now my colleague Shutaba Dash will be introducing Dr. Arnav Ball, who is an associate professor from the Department of English. Over to you, Shutapadi.
Am I audible?
Yes, please go ahead. Yeah, please go
Yes.
ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay. Dr. Arnav Ball is the associate professor of the Department of English, Surjashan Mahavidyalaya, Shiliguri, and he did his post-graduation from Vishwabharati Shantiniketan and received PhD degree from the same university. Before joining Surjashan College, he served as senior lecturer in the postgraduate department of English of Bongaigaon College under Guwahati University, Assam. And his research interests and publications in referred journals mostly focus on theoretical adaptations, violence and literature and marginality. He has written one book titled The Dialectics of Violence in Shakespeare, published from Quintus, London, and was completed UGC sponsored research project. Dr. Ball is a member of UG Council English and the expert committee for the career oriented program of the University of North Bengal. So we are very eager to hear from few words from our sir, Dr. Arnav Ball. Okay, over to Dr. Ball. Yes, sir.
Sir, we are not being able to hear you. Your voice is not audible, sir. No, sir. No, sir, we can't hear you. No, sir, it is still not audible.
হঠাৎ করে বলেছে তো।
So there'll be an option like we have mute, then video, then share. There's a button after that. Please click on that and change and click on switch audio. And you have to connect to your computer for audio. Click on that, sir. That it has to be the internal microphone and internal speaker. It's not. No, sir, it's not. It's not audible. It's not audible. Yeah, correct. Login.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. You're audible now. Yes, sir. You're audible now, sir. So please continue. Sir, we are not. We cannot hear you again. Sir, we cannot hear you again. No, sir. You are not audible.
madam, am I audible now? I'm trying to
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're audible
log
now.
in from my mobile phone. Okay, excuse me for that. I don't know.
Sir, it's
Okay.
absolutely fine now, sir. Please carry on.
Okay. I'm
Thank you,
extremely
sir.
sorry. What should I
No,
say?
no,
It's
no.
a
No, sir, no
total
problem.
inadvertence.
No problem, sir. So please go ahead.
Okay. Just let me make myself visible first. Is it okay now?
So your
Is it
video is
okay?
not visible, but then we can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Visible also. Okay.
Absolutely, sir.
Sorry
Absolutely.
again.
No
Okay.
problem.
Just a minute. Give me 1 minute. Breather. Okay. Okay. Let me first of all thank both of you. I mean, Dr. Amitav Roy, Vice Principal of Alipurduar Mahila Mahavidyalaya, and Dr. Ritika Laskar, the convener of this webinar, which is a very timely one, and for inviting me to share my thoughts with you. And I'm really interested to ponder on the issue that is so much relevant in today's world, as earlier distinguished speakers have already pointed out. So I also have certain ideas in my mind, and I would like to share it with you, believing that it's a high time we should really engage into a kind of discussion or a kind of discussive mode to find out solutions for the problems and the challenges that we are facing in this world. First of all, let us talk about the very common thing that we are all talking about, the change of the pattern of the pedagogy and the way we are teaching now and the way we used to teach earlier. There is a vast difference between these two. The basic thrust is now in online mode, switching over from the offline mode to online mode. I'll call it a social change. Social in the sense, if we are thinking on behalf of the teaching community, whoever we are, wherever we are placed, in what positions of capacity. If we are touched or if you're connected with education, then we are facing this, as I have just faced now, the kind of hindrances, the kind of challenges that one faces when you are going to switch over from one mode to another mode. Another perspective of this is the economic one. The interesting part in the COVID situation is that we cannot actually think about one particular aspect without another aspect trying to affect you. And so when I'm actually talking about online mode or my switch over from offline mode to online mode of teaching, I'm also remembering that the case for other people in my country, that many of them are there are not going to get access to this mode. So what will happen to them? So when I'm delivering this lecture, we are talking about higher education, the problems, the prospects. In the back of my mind, that is also constructing another layer of thought. So it has got its economic dimensions. It has got its psychological dimension. What psychology? Yes, that suddenly that we have to adapt ourselves, equip ourselves with a new kind of technology for which we are not prepared. That is something a burden. This situation has not arrived through a steady process of reconciliation with existing system by improving, by planning, but suddenly imposed on us, thrust on us. And as such, we are finding it's very difficult. Anything when it is accidentally imposed from the top should produce certain kinds of problems. And exactly now, the same thing is also happening. So it must have its different manifestations and ramifications. The economic one, the social one, the education part, that is one, and at the same time, a political one. Let me give an example. Timing matters most. Pandemic has suddenly hit us. At the same time, when you are actually thinking about how to cope up with this situation from the perspective of educators, we have got NEP 2020. Now, this NEP 2020 is again a charter about futuristic policies of our country's education. Now, we cannot but think about that at the same time think about this. By this, we are meaning our new normal situation in the field of education. And by that, I'm meaning a new policy that is also concerning us. So how can I differentiate? I must bring that in my process of thought. So what is actually happening within me? The ramification is that as a teacher, I am conditioned by different layers of thought produced by certain situations which was not in my hand. I was accustomed to think about one aspect, I was accustomed to behave in a particular situation. Now I am forced to behave in a different situation and to behave perfectly, to deliver perfectly, to talk to my students as a teacher, as I used to talk, not being able to understand whether it is possible for me to or not, me or not. Now, if I are going to talk about the political dimension, so should we really search for any political dimension or political angle regarding the timing of introduction of NEP 2020? If I'm thinking as a citizen of India in the perspective of India, not in the perspective of global education changes, I'm not going into that, but what I'm trying to tell is this, that a particular government, a particular group of policymakers have thought it pertinent to introduce a bill at a particular time when this situation is going on. What is the ramification of that particular decision? These aspects are very important. What actually it is doing is it is affecting the flow, quote unquote, in the term of the psychology. What this flow? That when I'm dedicatedly trying to impart my study, my education, my knowledge, and going to share it with my students, going to share it with my peer group, then that flow is lost. That flow is attained after a hard labor. The flow is attained after I open myself to the existing system, trying to get all the benefits of that system and try to equip myself thinking that, well, my way of telling things, my way of negotiating with others is the perfect one. And I love doing this. But this flow is broken, intruded by a different kind of reality. I am concerned about that. I'm concerned about where am I standing as a teacher in these changing flows, in changing scenario, but different aspects are actually affecting my very identity as a teacher. My primary concern is a kind of follow-up of a new kind of pandemic triad I can talk about, a kind of assemblage of three important factors. One is the internet or technology. Second one is the society, the societal changes, socio-political changes, decision making and everything. And third one is myself as a teacher, as an actor, quote unquote. Now, these three things mixing together, how actually it is going to affect is the matter of concern. And to me, it should be the matter of concern for all of us, those who are engaged in education. It is a kind of actor network theory, what Lathor talked about, that it is a continuous flow and continuous interaction among these flows that is going to give new dimensions to the reality that we are facing. Now, what is the nature of that reality? How am I going to condition myself with the changes? And if I'm going to condition myself with a new change, will it be effective one for me as a teacher, or will it be effective for the students for which I am liable to deliver my knowledge? Now, these factors, as a teacher, how the change in technology has taken place, that is important. No doubt is there about it. We are all talking about it. We're all talking that this technology has not reached to the fringe areas of our country. Many students, many teachers are not getting the benefit of that. If you're talking from the point of view of the social reality of our country, this is good, this is fine. But I am concerned about another aspect. The concern is this, that talking about the availability or non-availability of technology may prompt us to shift our attention to another world, living a very important world where we are in. What is this? How this change has contributed in forming a theory of knowledge. How, whether technology is available or not, that we are going to keep our schools, these are fine. We'll talk about it, the availability, non-availability, the system, the kind of websites that the government has introduced. But how is it going to affect the whole notion of philosophy of knowledge, the theory of knowledge? That is important. If our engagement with technology make us forget the basic here is the theory of knowledge, the conditions that help in production of a particular philosophy of knowledge, then we are actually being trapped by a reality which is, I mean, suddenly coming in front of us, plus which is being conditioned by some other factors, which may be government, which may be a social unity, which may be a policymaker, which may be affected by my next door neighbor, who may tell me that I have seen this teacher, he never goes to college. He's sitting there for 3 months and doing nothing. Now, what is happening in my mind as a teacher? I'm not in a position to tell because I am being conditioned by the kind of thing they're finding that school teachers are doing online teaching. Maybe this teacher I have never seen going to college, but what happens? This is the matter of concern. The identity of a teacher in the post-COVID era, in the new normal situation, what is a teacher? Naturally, he who cannot operate computer, naturally, he who cannot negotiate with a kind of digital world, then this is different. And then he's gone, he's nowhere. Should it be the expectation of our knowledge community from a teacher that only my technological advancement can address can make me a perfect candidate in the teaching fraternity, or there are other factors which actually help us in addressing this issue? I would like to draw your attention to this fact. So the pandemic and the pedagogy of teaching, if we are including these two things together, then I find it is the process of construction of identity of a teacher which is at stake, or you can say it is open for a renewal. There is a hope in this renewal. I'm not going to talk from the aspect of a kind of negativist thought that, well, it is dangerous. It is a challenge. I'm acknowledging the fact that it's a challenge. It's a challenge because this new normal has had so much layers that I may not be quite okay with all this. But I have also found that there are ways and means by which this challenge can be negotiated. The ritual of teaching, the whole normal aspect of teaching, this can be addressed and challenged, which we have not done in due course of time when we are within it. This demands a shift from, which the philosopher Haynes will be calling, shift from a kind of plastic man to a thinking man, or rather we can call it's a shift from from plastic man to autonomous man. Now, what is this shift? A plastic man will be happy in reaching the target. An autonomous man will be happy questioning the validity of the target. Taking this terminology or shifting this terminology in the field of education, a plastic teacher is a teacher who will be very happy in reaching the target. An autonomous teacher will be a teacher who will be conditioned by a system, no doubt is there, but at the same time, he will think, can I go beyond this condition? Or what are the loopholes in this condition? This COVID-19 is a time which is demanding a kind of introspection in this field. Let me try to give an example. I am a plastic teacher if I consider myself very good in reaching the target, what my principal sir has given, what is my routine, how many classes I am taking. I was taking offline class, suddenly it is online class, good in target, number of classes assigned during a week, it's good. I'm doing all the things perfectly. I have attended 100 webinars, say for example, very happy because I have reached the target. So I am a good teacher. An autonomous man will ask, an autonomous teacher will ask, how much effective your online teachings were? How much students have learned? If I've attended 100 webinars where you have not presented a single paper, what is the value of this beyond cash? Have you really done anything or contributed anything in the knowledge sphere in this changing situation? If you are asking these questions, then automatically you are leading to a different stage and a higher stage from plastic to automatic. I would argue that this pandemic situation has given this chance to expose ourselves to this arena of automatic world where our identity is not conditioned by a system because the system has started breaking down. There are cracks, there are fissures in the system. This is the chance just to see what can be seen in the depth of the reality. In normal situation, we would not have thought about it. But the situation has compelled us en masse compelled us to think, well, there are ways by which you can think. So judging from these aspects, if you talk about it, then we'll find that it's a shift in the field and game. I'm using the terminology of Pierre Bourdieu, the French philosopher. Field and your game and the player. The field is there. Field is here, our educational field. The game is teaching. Field is okay, game is there, but the rules must have changed. Can we play in the same way as we used to play? Can Messi play with Ronaldo? And if he cannot, Ronaldo is a great player, Messi is a great player. What went wrong? The same football field, same people, supporters are different. What actually is needed in doing a kind of shifting of the field and border, or field and the actor? What will be the role of the actor in the changing field? A kind of changing field where you do not have any hand, any role to play. A kind of changing field which is unexpected, which is uncalled for. You are not told about it, and you have no role in decision making until, because you are pressurized already, you have to go to online mode. Your school has to be converted to online mode of teaching. What do you prepare? If not, then where am I? Am I not losing my identity as a teacher? Is it the role of a teacher only to impart education, whatever is there for rote learning, and teaching it to the students? Or not to make an insipid projection into the mind of the teacher, into the mind of the student and the consciousness of the student? Tell them how to think. We are facing problem in the whole process of thinking. That is what is the shift and basic change to me in the whole pedagogical shift in the teaching. I'll also talk about it then what can be done and how. What is the challenge? And we have understood how this challenge can be mitigated. There are ways. There are ways to address this. The way is this. If I use framing it like this, but telling that the change that is demanded from us as teachers is a change from habit to quote-unquote habitus. Habit, we know. Habit, I'm not going to explain it. Habitus is not habit, something different from habit. Pierre Bourdieu has used this term habitus to talk about a specific kind of disposition of a person. Now, if I'm trying to ponder second time into this thing, what I'm trying to argue is this, that post-pandemic change or shift in the whole field of teaching demands we should change, or rather opens up, not demands, opens up an opportunity for teachers to change for the sake of his own existence. This existence cannot be ascertained simply by being technologically equipped. That's one part of the thing. But the basic part is how my new personality will be conditioned in the new reality. For that, we have to think about the whole notion of habitus, and with this notion of habitus, hexis, another term that Aristotle used. Now let us talk about this whole notion of, or the formulation of hexis and habitus. Now, habitus is a very controversial term because many theoreticians have talked about it from different angles. But if I am trying to make it simple, I would argue that suppose your disposition. Now, when I'm trying to bow down in front of senior, pronoun or greetings, that I'm doing it automatically. And now when I am doing it, in the whole gesture of doing this thing, I am actually carrying the whole legacy of respecting the seniors, how we respect seniors under, in the changing situation of different cultures and different countries. Whether I like it or not, I should respect the senior. So it is automatic that I will respect the senior. Whether I should respect or not, I am not thinking, because I am a plastic man. I'm conditioned by neoliberal economy. I'm conditioned by the flow of money. I'm conditioned by the flow of capital. I'm not talking about cultural capital, I'm talking about economic capital. So habitus is a particular disposition that is the product of centuries of, or the years of conditioning in domestic front, in cultural front, in social front. So a student, when he's interacting with the teacher, he is showing kind of respect, he's showing a kind of gesture, which is always a kind of, should I say, the surrendering one, because he knows the teacher is my guru. Okay, now there is no harm in calling teacher a guru, but the question is that I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about that what makes a student call a teacher guru? What makes a in that way, what should I say, a man respecting the senior in a particular gesture? Hexis makes this term more clear, more pertinent and more focused. Hexis will be talking about the particular fashioning of that disposition. The fashioning here means how the whole cultural conditioning make us behave like that. So now, if I'm going to shift this in the field of pedagogy of teaching, that I am a teacher and I have got my students, we have got a very good relationship. This is, and I behave in a particular way in front of a student, and student will behave in a particular way in front of me. These all things are the very body of the student is not a physical body in the matrix of teaching fraternity, but it is a body which is a cultural construct conditioned by reality as he faced in his home, a reality that he faced when he has come out of the home, a reality which he has faced when he has come to school, and he will carry it further. This habitus is vital if we are going to really think about any change that can be made possible in the personality of a teacher. Because the habitus and hexis, these two things, both will be telling that very difficult to pinpoint. Actually, it is not going. Can you follow me? Can you follow me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. I am finding some disturbance. Okay. Now, what I'm trying to mean is this: that this habitus and hexis, and relating it to a new reality, it will help us questioning the habit that we have followed till now. What habit? Habit as a teacher, habit as a student, habit as an institution, following the rules, following the disciplines, because we did not get any chance before that to combinedly think about it, which pandemic has made available to us. This is a seismic shift in the physical reality, which has resulted into a possibility of a cultural shift, thereby a psychological shift. This habitus will help us to think that no, this is a time when a student's identity must be viewed from multiple perspectives. The economic status of the student. A group of students are coming into class who are using their 4G mobile phone. There are students who are not coming to the class with 4G phone. They do not have money to buy the mobile phone. These, from the angle of government policy, we have discussed many a time. It should be provided, that should be done. These are the cases. The question is, this focus in the habitus now will make me think as a teacher all the realities at a time. I'm not going to be concerned about the fact that what I'm going to teach tomorrow, or whether I'm going to make a PowerPoint presentation of my teaching tomorrow or not. I'll also be thinking, I'll be forced to think, if I am an autonomous teacher, I'll be forced to think that I am teaching a fraction of students. What about all those students? Why these students are not getting access to this kind of reality? What went wrong? Where is the wrong in the policy? Is it the wrong in the policy? Is it the wrong in the attitude? Are we really happy in doing a kind of online class satisfaction? If my satisfaction level counts, then it has excluded a group of reality we are facing. If we are going to exclude all these aspects and are only concerned about adapting myself in a change situation, then I am cheating myself as a teacher. My personal opinion indeed, but I believe that I am actually not doing my duty as a teacher. Because if a teacher does not think, who will? So Bodo will be talking about this, the elitist system of education. You can talk about a private college or a private school. All the students are not at all the students will not be discussing about these aspects because they have been conditioned into a new reality, because they have paid hefty fees. Their school administrator has provided them with all the equipments. So they will never be able to think further that there is another reality. Their friends They are and people like them who have never got access of this education. Who is to be held responsible for that? What historical forces actually resulted into creating a situation like this, for which a section of people will be made voiceless? The pedagogical shift in teaching, if we are going to concern more about technology and technological change, we are actually forgetting that our reality demands a different kind of role reversal for teachers. Habitus, although is a bodily feature, but that bodily feature is a result of certain characteristics that can be seen in a society. Now, here, both will be talking about a kind of capital. The word capital he'll be using. Capital could be cultural capital, capital will be psychological capital, capital will be economic capital. This is not Marxian capital. This is a capital, the flow of this capital, the interaction of the capital, the overlapping of these capitals. This will help us think about this reality. Now, this intervention, so habitus remains when the objective conditions will be disappearing. Now, what I'm trying to mean is this: habitus is a condition of your, it's the disposition. Now, change the rule of the game. New world, new class, new school. Your habitus will be there, like genetic code. So you are conditioned by a different reality. Your reality has changed. Pandemic has changed your reality. The habitus, that is a strain of indicatives that is there within you, ingrained within you, that cannot be changed. Here, the role of teacher becomes very difficult. On the one hand, he has to think about the social and political changes. On the other hand, he has to think about the psychological part, the psychic reality of a child, the psychic reality of a student, as he is carrying a habitus which he has got from the earlier conditioning in school, in home, or in other parts of the world. And I myself, as an educator, will have to intervene in between the schism that has taken place to make him understand, or to inject within him another kind of thought to make him equipped with a defense mechanism by which he will be able to see the reality from a completely different angle. That reality, that intervention is important. So teacher's role is becoming critical, more critical. It's not simply critical, it's not critical simply in terms of my adaptability or questioning my adaptability or thinking about my adaptability, but critical because a teacher will have to be a philosopher now, because a teacher has to be a psychologist now. A teacher who was teaching in engineering college, in the engineering faculty, has to think about the philosophy of teaching, has to think about the psychology of an adolescent. And not only that, he has to be aware about this thing. I think this is good. This is good. Good in what sense? Good in the sense, in the history of the world, we'll find that whenever there are changes, cataclysmic changes, we'll find there are disruptions in all over, but when it subsides, when you start thinking about it, then you start thinking how the reality has got so much ramifications. The trajectories of thought, the kind of forces, the kind of play of power that is happening in the field of education. So education is not a field, or teaching is not a pedagogy which is very pure, a virgin field. It's power field, contested field, full of power, full of game. And by game, again, let me remind you, I'm talking about the Bordian game. The game people play, the game teachers play. That will be interesting for us to see. And now, so for that purpose, we have to change the rule of the game. And that is not very easy. Who am I to change the rule of the game? Can I? No, I cannot. Because I'm compromising. I'm doing a service. I have to be loyal to my authority. But I will tell that there is a necessity of changing the rule of the game. To whom should I tell? I should tell to my students. How should I tell? I cannot tell in the textbook, because textbook is not giving me the provision. I cannot tell any students because all the students are already conditioned by a reality where they are going to private tutors. But I must have an urgency. I must have an urgency, otherwise I will collapse. That urgency must be there in the new normal teachers. If we do not have that urgency, if we're not actually thinking that yes, it's a dangerous situation, then I'm sorry, I believe that I'm a failure as a teacher. A teacher cannot be calm. A teacher cannot really live in a world with a kind of happy face and a contented mind. But well, that was one reality. This is another reality. It is not. It is demanding a continuous shift in the mind, a continuous shift in the thinking process. It is demanding on our part to consider education a structuring structure, not structure, structuring structure. It is a structure, it will be structured in a different way. And when you are coining these two words, structuring structure, you are always on the move. You are always there. You are always trying to negotiate with this because every time you are believing this is not the reality. I have to cross it, I have to go beyond this. The moment I'm going to believe it's a new structure that pandemic has presented in front of me, I have to adapt myself. I am actually a failure as a teacher. Again, I'm telling this is my personal view. I'm a failure as a teacher. Why? Because I am conditioned by that. Now, anybody who is conditioned by outer forces, leaving aside or ignoring his own personal traits, that is not desirable. And as teachers, we have got some added responsibility. Structuring structure gives us a chance to of continuation. Continuation not in our action, continuation in our thought process. In this way, if we think, then we think and we believe that there are ways by which a new reality can be addressed. And if we do not do that, what will happen? If we do not do that, then we have to accept whatever is given to us by any agency. If we do not question, then we have to believe whatever government is doing is good anywhere in the world. I'm not talking about India. If we do not do that, then I'll be thinking all the aspects of all the provisions of NEP 2020 is good, fine, so many things. It is talking about Nalanda, it's talking about Takshila, it's talking about a very interesting combo. What combo? A kind of resurrection of the value system of Indian old education ethics and trying to fit it in a new developed economy. The soul is Indian, the body is American. How it works and should it work and how will it work and what will be its effect? If I'm not good at asking this question, then why am I a teacher? COVID will open the scope to me. COVID will make me think about the rule of the game. COVID will take me to explore the blood structure of the social formation as conditioned by your teaching practices. Blood structure of social formation. Habitus is the blood structure. Because when I'm observing a student, I am not thinking whether the student is a product of this conditioning. I am thinking whether the student is disciplined or not, whether the student is very loyal in front of me or not, whether the student is following all the homework that I'm giving to him or not, but never thinking that particular student is a potential force for the future generation, a force which is not going to really contribute into the economy of the world, but about the knowledge economy, contribute to the cultural economy, contribute to the kind of cultural practice that a particular situation demands. If not, then we'll never think, and it will never be an itching situation for me to think that in spite of so many efforts, in spite of so many policies, not a single Indian university is featured in the list of world's 500 great universities. It will never ask me to talk about the quality. Knowing fully well that these ranking agencies are to be questioned, there are many issues where things can be questioned. But even then, that cannot be an excuse to bypass the issue. Where is the quality? And again, when I'm talking about quality, I'm not at all talking about the parameter of the quality that has been fixed by an agency, but the quality of human being, quality of thought. That is where it is a very interesting chance for us to talk about and think about. So authoritarian, elitist mode of learning be shunned with new kind of learning, new kind of teaching, where teachers can really play a very interesting role. With the change in economy and production and social stratification, a teacher can actively contribute in forming a cultural capital through teaching. Myself as a teacher is interested about the whole ways and means of forming that cultural capital. That what culture, what community, what capital, how these things are formed, who forms it? Should we really accept all these things without questioning? What am I doing as a teacher? Pandemic, post-pandemic pedagogy of teaching, in whatever avatars it come in front of us, should always put in our mind a device that will convert any action taken in the social front to a thought process which will come back to my habitus as a teacher. Because pandemic will contribute to my habitus as I am now, as I am standing, as I'm speaking. This is who am I? So coming back to that basic question of who am I? It's a religious change. This is religion. This is making me ask me, who am I? So our process of searching the answer should continue. Nobody has got this answer. If I get this answer, who am I? Then that moment will be the failure, will be the moment of failure. My failure as a teacher, because it is a structure in structure. This answer cannot be given. Who am I? Who can give this answer? Nobody. But we will be engaging ourselves to find a very judicious answer to the question. That is the only hope we have. If we call it hope, that is fine. If we do not call it hope also, that is also okay. But this is the reality as we find it. Thank you all for your patient hearing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving us a new perspective of teaching and a new perspective of how we should look at ourselves as teachers. Thank you, sir. I'm sure all those who are present here now have benefited a lot from your session. And if there are any questions, or if anybody wants to ask anything or interact with sir, please go ahead. Any questions from any of the participants? Okay, so I believe, sir, there are no more questions. With sir's lecture, this is the end of our first inaugural session. So we'll meet again at 2:30 p.m. for the technical session, and sir himself will be the chairperson for that session. We have already shared the link in our respective WhatsApp groups, so that you can use that link and join at 2:30.
Thank you.
We'll see each other again at 2:30. Thank you.